Good morning, it's still morning out. It's almost afternoon, but hey. And this is a rare Monday stream for me. It's a very rare Monday stream, but it is what it is. Hey, afternoon, Fury. How you doing today? Okay. Now let me see here. I need to take care of a couple of things here real quick. All right. Now, it's pretty evident what I want to talk about today. Okay. The 86th, who should be 86th. Last week, the Republicans in the House majority submitted a resolution. It's not a law, it wasn't a bill, a simple resolution saying, hey, as a body, as a representative body of elected officials to represent the United States of America, we want to denounce socialism. It's a very simple bill. Very simple bill. It's less than a page. Whereas socialist ideology necessitates a concentration of power that has time and time again collapsed into communist regimes, totalitarian rule, and brutal dictatorships. Whereas socialism has repeatedly led to famine and mass murders and the killing over 100 million people worldwide. Whereas many of the greatest crimes in history were committed by socialist ideologues, including Vladimir Lenin, Joseph Stalin, Mao Zedong, Fidel Castro, Pol Pot, Kim Jong il, Kim Jong un, Daniel Ortega, Hugo Chavez, and Nicolas Maduro. Whereas tens of millions have died in the Bolshevik revolution, and at least 10 million people were sent to the gulags in the Union of the Soviet Socialist Republic, the USSR, and millions more starved in the terror famine Holodomor in Ukraine. Whereas between 15 million and 55 million people starved to death in the wake of famine and devastation caused by the Great Leap Forward in China. Whereas the socialist experiment in Cambodia led to the killing fields in which over 1 million people were gruesomely murdered. Whereas up to 3,500,000 people have starved in North Korea, dividing the land of freedom from a land of destitution. Whereas the Castro regime in Cuba expropriated the land of Cuban farmers and the businesses of Cuban entrepreneurs, stealing their possessions, their livelihoods, and exiling millions to nothing but the clothes on their backs. Whereas the implementation of socialism in Venezuela has turned a once prosperous nation into a failed state with the world's highest rate of inflation. Whereas the author of the Declaration of Independence, President Thomas Jefferson, wrote, "To take from one because it is thought that his own industry and that of his fathers has acquired too much in order to spare others who or whose fathers have not exercised equal industry and skill, is to violate arbitrarily the first principle of association, the guarantee to every one the free exercise of his industry and the fruits acquired by it." Whereas the father of the Constitution, President James Madison, wrote that it's not just a government, nor is property secured under it, whereas property which a man has in his personal safety and personal liberty is violated by arbitrary seizures of one class of citizens for the service of the rest. And whereas the United States of America is founded on the belief in the sanctity of the individual, to which the collectivistic system of socialism in all its forms is fundamentally and necessarily opposed, Now therein be it resolved by the House of Representatives, with the Senate concurring, that the Congress denounces socialism in all its forms and opposes the implementation of socialistic policies in the United States of America. Passed the House of Representatives on February 2nd, 2023. That's it. That was it. Okay. Oh, hey, Spoonie. You can't hear it. You can't hear anything. Oh, okay, great. Hey, Wiki. Willie, welcome. This is a very simple bill. Very simple. Nothing to, or resolution. One freaking page. That's it. One page. Very straightforward. Not partisan. Didn't call the Democrats socialists. It did not say anything about any individual serving in the Congress. This was about the founding and the type of government that we would have, and about the government that is best for the people of the country. Not for the leadership of the country, but for the people. And 86 people voted against it. Now then. All right. Oh, I forgot to log out. So let me sign out of that. So, oh, come on. Get my name out of there. Okay. So, what I did this morning, and this actually took me a lot longer than I thought it would. Exactly, Fury. One page to say to outlaw policies and ideas that are antithetical to the formation and ideas of the Republic. Very good. Very good. Like the way you put that, because that's exactly right. So, we're going to go down through this list of the 86 people who voted against this bill. Make sure that's sharing correctly. Pop back over here. Yes, it is. Wonderful. Can I get rid of this ribbon here? No, I can't. All right. Oh, well. Okay. As you notice, I've got a few highlighted in red. They're the ones I'm going to concentrate on here today. All right. This Alma S. Adams from North Carolina. Becca Balint of Vermont. Nanette Diaz Bergen of California. Joyce Beatty. Donald S. Byer Jr. Earl Blumenauer. Susan Bonamici. Jamal Bowman. Cori Bush. Cori Bush. Now, Cori Bush is an interesting person. Okay. Let's take a look at some of her promises when she last ran for office. Let's take a look at some of her stuff. This is what Cory Bush stood for: economic justice. Economic justice is vital to ensure that every American, especially those currently living in poverty, have access to the capital to meet their basic needs and thrive. Missouri's poverty rate stands at 14%, higher than the national average of 12%. We have a population of 5.9 million, meaning our state's poverty translates to 826,000 living below the federal poverty level. I'll ensure that all Louisianans have economic security, equitable education access, food security, and critical health. Equitable. Remember, we've argued, discussed, and it's been quite a bit here recently, the difference between equal access and equitable access. Equal access meaning, hey, here it is. You're more than welcome to it. All you got to do is make the effort to show up and apply yourself. We are offering you equal access to the schools. When they start talking equitable, they are talking about the outcome of the schooling. You can't guarantee that everybody's going to have the same outcome because some people apply themselves more than others. Some people are more gifted than others. Some people, their natural talents lie in different areas than other people. That's why you have those who make fantastic doctors and horrible mechanics. That's why you have those who are their artwork, their artistry, be it in music, dance, painting, woodworking, metalwork, is simply amazing, and they can make fortunes doing it. That's not equitable outcomes. Because nobody can force anybody into a mold. We are not a bunch of little robots that get pressed and pushed and crunched down into a little mold and all come out the same way, which is what they're talking about when they want equitable. They want everybody to eat. And remember, in order to have equitable outcomes, that means you have to take away from some to give to others. You have to take away from some to give to others, or else it is not an equitable outcome. As your Congresswoman, now remember, this is her last election, increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Universal basic income, taken away from others to give to others. Taken away from some to give to others. End predatory lending and exploitation of communities of colors by recapturing the wealth from Wall Street and returning it to your backyard. Taken away from some and giving to others. Implement a federally funded public banking system. We don't have a public banking system in this country. We have a private banking system. Public banking system ran by the government would be a horrible idea. Imagine what Joe Biden would be doing right now if he, as the president of the United States, could sign an EO dealing with the banks. Because that is exactly what would happen under a public banking system ran by the government. Because it wouldn't fall under the Congress. It would be under the executive office, not under the legislative. And that would make it to where the president of the United States could sign off on an EO, an executive order, to control that is socialism in a nutshell. Make it easier to form and join unions through measures like enact a majority sign-up process and passing and protecting the right to organize. In other words, no more right to work states. You got the right to work. You got the right to, a person should have the right to whether or not they want to join a union and not have their livelihood depend on their decision not to join it, and to have their money taken away from them and given to someone else, which is what happens when you join a union. You join a union, your money is taken from you and given to the union. They produce nothing. They earn nothing. They just take from you. Give feral workers and other disenfranchised workers the right to start. Nobody who sucks the government tit, nobody who gains their paycheck through the largesse of the taxpayer should ever be allowed to strike. Ever. The right to strike. Again, you produce nothing. You are part of the governmental machine. Yes, wealth distribution based upon skin color. Repeal the right to work and guarantee the right of all public employees to bargain collectively. Absolutely not. You earn your paycheck as a government employee, which is taking money from people who actually work for a living, producing products that people buy. Government employees don't produce a product that the public buy. They don't. They offer a service to the public. Teachers offer a service to the public to educate our children. Law enforcement, they offer their services to quote unquote serve and protect. Yeah. Our court systems, they offer their services to fairly judge individuals who violate the laws. But they do not produce anything. They do not produce anything that the public purchases. They make no money. They earn nothing. Every penny they spend, every dollar they earn is taken from your pocket and from my pocket in the forms of taxes. And the policeman and the teacher and the such will say, well, I pay taxes. I pay taxes. No, you don't. No, you don't. Don't. Yeah, you pay sales tax, but where'd you get your money from? You got your money from the taxpayer to start with. You produce nothing on those tax to that was sold. You produce nothing. You offered up your services. You had nothing taken away from you that you earned by producing a product and sold to the public. $15 living wage for all Americans. I've said this before and I'll say it again when it comes to the minimum wage. I see it right now in the business I work with because of Florida's increase in minimum wage that got passed mostly, almost completely by South Florida and Northeast Florida. Jacksonville area, Miami-Dade, Broward counties. The heavily Democratic portions of the state that voted in this $15 minimum wage. the cost of our products have gone up. People have had their hours reduced. Yeah, you're getting $12, $13 an hour right now, but you're not working 40 hours a week. You're working 35 hours a week. Yeah, we used to offer our product for this amount, but now we have to offer it for this amount in order to cover the increased cost to the business of the labor. Because remember, it's not just the paycheck that is an increase, but because the taxes go up because of the increase in pay, the company has to increase their money that they owe in taxes. So it's not a zero-sum game. If you take my money from me, I've got to get more money in order to stay in the same place. So that means I got to charge more for my product and reduce my labor force. And Spoonie, that's it. That's it. The cost, when that goes up, everything else goes up. Okay. Now then, let's see here. What else? What else did old Miss Cori Bush promise? Get the other page up. Here we go. I don't want that. Here we go. She promised to fix the broken immigration system. Now, did she promise to fix it by strengthening our immigration laws? By strengthening the border to prevent illegal immigration? No, 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 no. I mean, if you want to fix our immigration problem, the first thing you have to do is stop the flow of illegal immigrants, which means you have to stop them at the border. You have to be willing to deport them as they are caught. Deport every illegal immigrant. No, we don't give you free health care while you're here. No, we don't put you up in a hotel. No, we don't give you your culturally appropriate foods. No, we don't give you a PlayStation, an Xbox, and a television. We deport you. Give you a bottle of water, or a bottle of juice, a bologna sandwich, and you're sent back across the border. However, fully commit to working with our immigrant policies toward immigrant communities with policies of dignity, safety, and prosperity, not separation, cruelty, and poverty. She wants to abolish ICE. Abolish the organization that is there to deport illegals. Ensure a quick and humane pathway to citizenship. Nobody is guaranteed citizenship in this country when they come from another country. Nobody. But she wants to give everybody a pathway to citizenship, regardless. Protect immigrants from their employers and the U.S. government. She forgot to put the word illegal in there. She forgot the word illegal. Illegals should have no rights. My opinion, illegals should have no rights in the country other than a quick deportation, a bologna sandwich, and a bottled water. Prioritize restoring the legal status of the 1.8 million Americans who are eligible for the DACA program. Well, the DACA program is unconstitutional to start with. Trump screwed up in the way that he abolished it. But Obama, when he remember, the DACA program was not a law passed by Congress legislatively, then signed into a law. It was an executive order. Obama said, here's a program I just thought up. Let's make this the law of the land. And he just signed it into an executive order. Now, executive orders in the past, for the most part, what could be done by the pen could be undone by the pen. Did not require a bunch of hoops to jump through until Trump tried to undo DACA. And then all of a sudden, he didn't jump through enough hoops, therefore, he couldn't abolish DACA. Work to build a true sanctuary environment for St. Louis. What is a true sanctuary environment? A true sanctuary environment is an environment in which federal laws are ignored. Federal laws are ignored. Ensure livable and humane conditions for any currently detained immigrants and minimize any time spent in detention. All right, I can live, all right, if you're in detention, it should be humane. It should have the basic necessities. And absolutely, I agree. Minimize any time spent in detention. Absolutely, I agree with that. It shouldn't take that long to find the nearest border and kick their asses across. Take them to the border. Here, boom. Pull the bus up, have a cattle chute set up. They get off the bus, walk down the ramp, and when they step off the ramp, they're in another country. They're back in Mexico. And just like most cattle ramps, all right, that spring load door only opens one way, and it can't be opened the other. Once that door closes behind them, it's closed. No backing up to that. That is the way it should go. So yeah, I agree. Quick and humane, or a quick way out of any time in detention. It's just she wants to allow them to come back into the country, to open them up freely to the country at large and let them go. These are people who don't care about our country. They don't care about, in order to have a country, you have to have borders. Just like your home. You've got borders. You've got your property lines. Your neighbors can't cross your property lines without your permission. Now, granted, most of us, all our neighbors come over and knock on our front door. And by law, if you have a walkway from the sidewalk, which is public, leading up to your front door, then by law, people are allowed to come up and knock on your front door. All right. Unless you have no trespassings. And like at my house, I've got a gate you actually have to come through. You have to open up a gate on a 6-foot tall privacy fence in order to get to my front door. I mean, the only people I want knocking on my front door are people I invite. I don't want strangers coming in and knocking on my front door. But that's just me. But that's the way our country should be. We don't want strangers coming into our country. Oh, Fury. I like that idea. Okay. Hey, Dar, how you doing? Good morning to you. I think I sent you a link there, Dar, if you want to pop in on this. But we're going over the 86 members of the House who should be 86th. And by the way, if you don't catch that, 86th is an American terminology, meaning that we're out of it. They're gone. When you go into a restaurant and you want to order a steak and they're running out of steaks, the chef will tell the wait staff to 86 the steaks. Stop ordering them. There's several ways that little term started off, several theories. One of them, back when the F-86 was flying, would get shot down. Well, that just been 86th. Another one is that in soup kitchens, kitchen pots could hold 85 servings of soup, so the 86th person didn't get any soup. So it's not, it's kind of ironic that there's 86 House members who voted against this bill. And lastly, Cori, I know I'm spending some time here on Cori Bush, but she's fairly representative of what these 86 House members vote for and agreed. How they determine things to go. This is still off of Cori Bush's last election. As your Congresswoman, I will advocate for reproductive justice to ensure low-income women, women of color, trans people have access to comprehensive reproductive health care that includes education, prevention, treatment, assistance, and support. Reproductive justice. And when they call reproductive health care, she left out one that they support on the whole. I believe every one of these 86 House members do. When I went through them, I didn't see any of them say that they didn't. Abortion. Every one of them support the right of a mother to kill her unborn child. And it's kind of ironic here. Not too long ago, the Democrats were quoting the Declaration of Independence. They were quoting our founding papers, and they left off the term, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Because they don't want to say that all Americans, have the right to life, because they won't be able to kill the unborn children. Not for any medical necessity, not to save the life of the mother, because it's inconvenient for them to be pregnant. It's inconvenient. She's not ready to start a family yet, so we'll just kill it. Support Paycheck Fairness Act to end the gender wage gap. There is no such thing as a gender wage gap. No such thing. Okay? It's plain and simple. There's no such thing. Women, when you look at this, and this is making that comparison of all women, what all women earn versus all men. So all women don't work the same amount of hours on the job site as all men do. All women don't work the same jobs as all men do. You go into any governmental office, and you're going to see many more women working in governmental offices than you're going to see men. You go to governmental jobs such as firefighters, though, or police officers, jobs in which there's danger, you're going to find far more men than women. But you get into the bureaucracies, you're going to find more women than men. You're going to find more women working in the upper echelons than you're going to find men, but you're going to find more men. Like I said, you go into a private company and you look at what's going on out there in that private company, and you're going to find, oh, something happened there. All right. Champion Medicare for all to guarantee everyone to access reproductive and maternity health care services regardless of their income. Taking from some to give to others. Again, taking from some to give to others. There's only so much money produced and earned by the people who actually produce products that are sold to other people. Not services such as what the police does, but actually services, actually products that are bought and sold on the open market. There's only so many. But she's got no problem here of taking money out of my pocket to pay for somebody else's health care. Vote to repeal the Hyde Amendment. The Hyde Amendment. It's the amendment that says that tax dollars can't be used to kill unborn babies. Vote to fully fund Planned Parenthood, Title X, and other initiatives to protect people's access to reproductive health care, including contraceptive, STI testing, and abortion services. She finally talks about abortion services. She finally mentions abortion. Again, she wants to use our tax dollars to kill babies. Planned Parenthood, they claim to be doing all this good stuff. And if I recall correctly, over 75% of their business is killing babies. Fight to end sexual harassment, discrimination, and violence in the workplaces, the military, and other institutions. I'm on that. I can agree with that. Nobody should be discriminated against based upon their based upon their sex, and nobody should be harassed because of their sex. And violence in the workplace. Yeah, that's got no place. But everybody knows I'm retired Air Force. Some of the things we did in the Air Force, male and female, would never fly under these policies. Such as my last working day before I retired. I got absolutely trashed. I got tied up, I got duct taped, and I had everything that could be dumped on me in my uniform that could imaginable. All kinds of hydraulic fluids, engine oils, crap. I mean, coffee grounds. I was infamous for bringing hot sauces into work. Somebody brought in a bottle of Tabasco sauce and dumped it into my hair. That would be called violence in the workplace. But no, that was our way of saying goodbye to people that we worked with. If you did not get this kind of action from the areas I worked in on the flight line, then you weren't liked. You simply were not liked. If your last day came and went, and and you walked out the door as clean as you walked in, that's because nobody liked you, nobody respected you. you were an asshat of some sort. But under these, that'd be considered harassment or violence or some nonsense. Support environmental justice with adaptive resources for women, often the caregivers for children and older adults. Gender discrimination here. All right. First of all, I don't believe in environmental justice because that just, again, when they say environmental justice, they're going to take money from my pocket to put in someone else's pocket. But it's only going to be doing it for women. Thank you very much, Cori Bush and the Socialists and the Democratic Party. All right. Let me go on to the next ones. Whoops, I'm sorry. You're Dar, exactly. Government produces nothing. They only supply services. So who's next on the hit list here after Cori Bush? Got Tony Gardinas from California, Andre Carson from Indiana, Greg Cesar from Texas, Joaquin Castro. Joaquin Castro. He was the mayor of Houston at one time. Okay? He was the mayor of Houston. And when he got running for office, he had a little bit of an issue. And it was such an issue, even MSNBC had a problem with it.
Joaquin Castro of Texas tweeted out a graphic this week that shows the names and employers of 44 Trump campaign donors in San Antonio, the people who contributed the maximum amount allowed by campaign finance laws. Congressman Castro wrote that, quote, their contributions are fueling a campaign of hate that labels Hispanic immigrants as invaders. Later adding on Twitter, how about I stop mentioning Trump's public campaign donors and he stops using their money for ads that fuel hate? And Congressman Joaquin Castro joins us now. He is vice chair of the House Foreign Affairs Committee and member of the Select Committee.
He got in a bit of trouble for that later on. But not enough trouble to end. It should have been enough trouble to end his political career. But unfortunately, it didn't. Could you imagine a Republican, any Republican running for office, releasing a hit list, which is basically what that was? It was a hit list of people simply because they donated to their political opponent. The media would have gone nuts over it, and that would have been the end of their political career. But no, he's a Democrat, and he got away with attempting to destroy the lives and livelihood of these 44 individuals simply because they supported someone that he didn't like, because they donated financially to Trump's campaign instead of to his campaign. So he put their names out there, put out their businesses where they worked. He went and advocated for people to do their own research on these people. In other words, find out where they live, harass them, destroy their lives. Exactly, Sean, that happened too. You're right. So, yes, there was some problems here. And old Joaquin Castro there, him and his brother, they got away with that with bloody murder simply because they're Democrats. I just let my puppy out. I'm actually set up on the kitchen table here this morning. Okay, so let's go on to the next person, next group here. Judy Chu from California, Yvette Clark from New York. Let's see, Gerald Connolly from Virginia, Joe Courtney from Connecticut, Danny K. Davis from Illinois, Diana DeJet from Colorado, Rosa DeLoro. Now, Rosa DeLoro, she is a nutcase in and of herself. She's most famous for her style of dress. She's that woman that she's, looks like a 80-year-old woman trying to dress up like a 16-year-old, very garish outfits. I mean, and she looks like really looks like a withered old hag. But anyway, Mark DeSlainer, Lloyd Doggett, Adriana Espelette, okay, Dwight Evans, Lizzie Fletcher. Lizzie Fletcher of Texas, she's actually from Houston. So that's no surprise there. Valerie Foushee, Maxwell Frost from Florida. John Garamati of California. Jesus G. Chu Garcia of Illinois. Sylvia R. Garcia of Houston, Texas. Robert Garcia of California. Daniel Goldman of New York. Jimmy Gomez of California. Al Green. Al Green of Houston. That guy, he just seems to have his nose in everywhere. He's just a complete nutcase. He really is. Oh, wait till I get down to Sean. Morning, Neil. Is it still morning? No, it's afternoon here now. Let's see here. Raul Grijavala of Arizona. Johanna Hayes. Brian Higgins of New York. Johanna Hayes is of Connecticut. James Hines of Connecticut. Steny Hoyer, former majority leader of Maryland. Jared Huffman of California. Pramila Jayapal, member of the squad from Washington. Henry C. Hank Johnson Jr. of the infamous Guam is going to tip over if we put a Navy base there. And it's going to capsize because there'll be too many people on one side of that island. Sydney Kamaler Dove, California. Yes, I am naming and shaming every one of these 86 people because every one of them need to be 86'd. Robin L. Kelly of Illinois. John B. Larson of Connecticut. Barbara Lee of California. Summer Lee of Pennsylvania. Betty McCollum of Minnesota. Morgan McGarvey, of Kentucky. James P. McGovern of Massachusetts. Kawazi Mafumi. That's not his birth name, obviously. He changed his name. Now, Quasi is interesting. He once led the NAACP. He led them out near bankruptcy. And then all of a sudden he resigned from the NAACP. He resigned. And the NAACP's coffers ended up light by $100,000. Yeah, Fury. All 86 of these. What had happened was the reason why Quasi Mafumi left the NAACP was sexual improprieties with staff members. And they paid off the staff members that $100,000, and he quite left the NAACP and ran for Congress and won. Democrats had no problem with that. But suddenly the Democrats have a huge problem, if you'll remember. In fact, they're still going after Trump for paying off that hooker $100,000 to shut up her mouth about something he did, about them having sex. Now, they had a problem with Trump, but they didn't have a problem with Quasi doing it. Isn't that interesting as all get out? Gwen Moore of Wisconsin, Kevin Mullen of California, Gerald Antifa doesn't exist, Nadler of New York, that toadish looking bullfrog man who doesn't believe that Antifa exists, that twisted every rule of the committees when he was the majority leader, the committee leader of it, the head of the committee, chairman. The man who sat there and absolutely ran the committees with an iron hand and refused to allow Republicans a fair shot. Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, the Stormy Daniels mess. You're right. All right. Now, Grace E. Napolitano. I wonder if she's any relation by marriage to the to Judge, who just lost his job, who lost his job last year over on Fox News. Uh, let's see, Richard E. Neal of Massachusetts. Alexandria Ocasio Cortez. The bartender, the not even a bartender. God, they put her at best she can maybe pull a beer and that's about it. God, they showed video of her trying to work a bar and it was absolutely horrendous. There's no way I could be a bar back, and she was worse than I could be. A bar bent exactly, Fury. Ilhan Omar from Minnesota. Do we really need to say more about Ilhan? She is such a mess. She really and truly is. Oh, I got to backtrack here. Or no, or have I got, did I get down to her? I hope not. Let me scroll up here real quick. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got to backtrack here to Miss Jayapal because I got a little something here I wanted to discuss about her and the kind of stuff that she has put out over the years. I apologize for this. I apologize for backtracking here, but Miss Jayapal. All right. Miss Jayapal, what's going on here? Okay. She founded the Hate Free Zone after the September 11th attacks as an advocacy group for immigrants. The Hate Free Zone registered new American citizens to vote and lobbied on immigration reform and related issues. It sued the Bush administration, Immigration and Naturalized Services, to prevent the deportation of 4,000 Somalis across the country. That deportation was to the temporary refugee status. You know, we've got a bunch of people in this country that they're only going to be here temporarily until things get a little bit better in their country. Oh my God, they've been here for 15 years. How can we deport them? They've all but become Americans. It wouldn't be fair to deport them, to send them back to their home countries. Yeah. We know we said they'd only be here temporarily, but can we really do this to them? I mean, they've gotten so used to American lifestyle. How dare we send them back to something else that's not as good as us? She participated in insurrection. In 2018, Jay Appel participated in Women Disobey and the sit-in at the Hart Senate office building to protest the Trump administration's zero tolerance approach to illegal immigration. Damn, that sounds like an insurrection to me. She did a takeover of the Senate building. Sounds like she needs to be in prison. She was arrested. She should have been in prison. She should have spent at least a year sitting there in solitary confinement and waiting for her trial. I mean, she's advocating that for the people arrested on January 6th. So anyway, oh yeah, she's awful upset here about the Pelosi bill. But then she had no problem joining in with Jamie Raskin to introduce the Trump Transparency Package, a series of bills promoting transmitting transparency and eliminating conflicts of interest in the Trump White House. She supports universal health care. And she is a member of the Justice Democrats. Yeah, wonderful there. Wonderful. And of course, she claims that she faces sexism every day in the Congress. All right, get back over to this group here. Who's next on this list? Okay. Frank Pallone Jr. of New Jersey, Bill Pascrell Jr. of New Jersey, and Donald M. Payne Jr. of New Jersey. Chili Pingree of Maine. Mark Pocan of Wisconsin. Katie Porter of California. Ayanna Presley of Massachusetts. Oh, yes. We all know about her. Member of the squad. Got nothing better to do. Now, what can I say? Follows the dictates of AOC and such. What more can I say? Delia C. Ramirez of Illinois. Jamie Raskin, a man who is one of my favorite two Democrats in the Congress. Jamie Raskin, who led the impeachment proceedings against Trump, lied under oath, lied during that trial in the House, misrepresented things going on. Hey, Rise and Shine, good morning to you. Now, Sean, one of the things that she points out is that she got called young lady. And that was just a form of sexism because how dare that man call me a young lady? Well, do you want him to call you an old bitch? But Jamie Raskin has been sort of in the news here recently. Now, the man's got cancer and he's undergoing chemo. I wouldn't wish cancer on anybody except the absolute worst of my enemies. I would wish it on Kim Jong-il, for example. My brother died of cancer. My father died of cancer. My brother, from the day he was diagnosed to the day he died, was less than 6 months. Less than 6 months. Started off with blood in his urine and ended up, he had cancer in his brain. And he lived less than 6 months. My dad, he died meso. You see those ads all across the television all the time. Do you or your family member have mesothelioma? Contact these lawyers and they'll see about getting you some money. Now, my dad died of that. My grandfather died of lung cancer, but he was a heavy smoker. I've had relatives I've watched die of cancer. I would not wish cancer on anybody but the absolute worst of my enemies. And Jamie Raskin is no exception. I would never wish cancer on that man. I've already said a prayer that he gets healed of it. But that son of a bitch. In a meeting of the Democratic caucus, and evidently there's no video of it, Jamie Raskin got a standing ovation from the Democratic caucus after saying he'll push back on Republican efforts to make him take off the cap he's been wearing as he undergoes chemotherapy. I will make him take off their toupees, Raskin said to Dem cheers. After it made the news and after a lot of people started tearing up on the Democrats for how dare you make Raskin take off his head covering? How he's, da 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 da. Are you cold, heartless bastard? Da da da. They just went on and on and on. Raskin kicks finally. Oh, wait a second. Well, yeah, I said it. He can't deny that he said it, but now he claims he was just joking. Now he claims he was just joking. To quote a young lady who appeared on the world stage, How dare you? How dare you make the claim that the Republicans were telling you you couldn't wear a covering over your head to cover up your hair loss due to your chemo treatment? And then later on say, well, I was just joking. No big deal. How dare you do that, you son of a bitch? Other than the claims that went out against the Republicans, the lie that got spread about the Republicans in the House majority, telling him he couldn't wear his head covering. Have you heard much about any pushback on Raskin for even saying a statement that wasn't true like that? Yeah, Dar, it was a joke, bro. It was just a joke. Raskin's right up there with um, a shift for brains as far as being a liar. He really and truly is. But he's one of the 86 that won't that won't say socialism is bad. He is one of 86 senators, House members that won't say socialism is bad. That's this list I'm going through, people, as a reminder. None of these people would sit up there and vote aye on a resolution. They actually voted nay on a resolution condemning socialism. But this man had the balls to think it was funny to tell a lie, saying that he was told he couldn't wear his head covering. The hats are banned except for religious wear in the house. And Ilhan Omar got that changed because she wanted to be able to wear her head covering as a part of her religious gear. And they had to get the rule changed for that so that she could wear it. Because at that point, there was no hats allowed in the house. So anyway, Jimmy Raskin said this. So anyway, Raskin has explained he was making a joke. There's no indication any Republicans had actually asked him to remove his cap in the House. He'd already worn the cap on the House floor without a problem. Twitter went insane when they believed Raskin was telling the truth. Perhaps more should have questioned what seemed to be impossible had not come out of the realm of possibilities. Some of the GOP caucus hates Raskin, Schiff, Swalwell, AOC, etc. As individuals, they're liars. As individuals, all three of them are liars. Schiff and Swalwell. Schiff lied in congressional testimony. He lied. He just plain and Swalwell, come on, bang bang, fang fang. AOC. Do we really have to go on what these people are like? The kind of stuff they pulled. All right, get back over here to the list because I'm not done yet. I'm only down to the R's of these 86. And actually, I'm going. There's more than just the 86. Linda T. Sanchez of California. John Sarbanes of Maryland. Janice Schlowski of Illinois. Robert C. Bobby Scott of Virginia. David Scott of Georgia, Brad Sherman of California. If anybody has anything they want to say about any of these people, go ahead, pop up. Brad Sherman of California, Adam Smith of Washington, Mark Takano of California, Sri Landar of Michigan, Rashid Tlaib. Remember, she was the one that was escorted out of a Trump rally. She's the one that said "F Trump" at her one of her own rallies with their children there in front of her. She is about as crass of an individual as you can imagine. And the Democrats love her. Let's see here. Give me just a second here. I got to get back, take a look here, make certain I'm not going to miss anything. All right. Joanne Takonda of Hawaii, John Tonko of New York, Norma J. Torres of California, Juan Vargas of California, Nadia M. Velasquez of New York, Maxine Waters. Yes. Maxine Waters. We're going to go back a few years. We're going to take a jump in the time machine. Okay. Going to go into the time. Oh, and I hit the wrong button. There we go. And 37 seconds here.
And guarantee to the American people, because of the inaction of the United States Congress, ever increasing prices unless the demand comes down, and the $5 will look like a very low price in the years to come if we are prohibited from finding new reserves, new opportunities to increase supplies.
And guess what this liberal would be all about? This liberal will be all about socializing.
Whoa. What did she just say? What did that woman just say? Let's back this up.
This liberal will be all about socializing. Would be about basically taking over and the government running all of your companies.
And guarantee to the American people
About socializing. This liberal will be all about socializing. Would be about basically taking over and the government running all of your companies.
And when what is it called when the government takes over a company and runs it? Takes over a private company and runs it? She had it right the first time. Socializing. Being a socialist. She said the thing that she didn't want to say. That's from a few years back. Now, it gets even better. This gets good. I love this.
It's very difficult for the stenographer. So the exchange is fine. Just
That's as loud as it gets.
talk at the same time. You bet. I recognize the gentleman from Texas.
Thank the gentleman. I thank the witnesses for their time. Mr. McHenry, we recite the Pledge of Allegiance on the floor of the House. I believe. And the gentlelady from New Mexico said that, quote, I absolutely denounce brutal dictatorships and authoritarianism. But missing from that absolute denouncement was an absolute denouncement of socialism. Now, we can.
There we go.
Answer.
Ah, I hate this.
Come to TurboTax.
I am here today in this Rules Committee because we're taking up time with basically a non-issue. First of all,
A non-issue. Socialism is a non-issue. Decrying socialism is a non-issue. Yeah, very good, Fury. You're exactly right again. And Sean, you're right. You know, she'd be right up against the wall with everyone else.
you claim that socialism has engulfed this country, that it keeps creeping, it's going to take over private businesses, et cetera, et cetera. That is not happening.
What do you mean it's not happened? It's happening in our schools. Socialism is being taught as an acceptable form of government in our schools today, woman. It's being taught in our colleges, being taught in our high schools. It's being taught to our elementary school children. Socialism is acceptable. There are teachers out there teaching it today. And you yourself threatened it. Said you want the government to take over businesses and run. You said it. You even used the word socialized.
We're in a democracy that we're trying very much to save.
And I am so, okay, listen to this again. Listen to this again.
A non-issue. First of all, you claim that socialism has engulfed this country, that it keeps creeping, it's going to take over private businesses, et cetera, et cetera. That is not happening. We're in a democracy.
No, we are not in a democracy. We are in a constitutional republic. I get so tired of hearing these people say, we're in a democracy. We're protecting our democracy. We're here to protect our democracy. You're trying to destroy. We are not a democracy. We are a constitutional republic. Majority does not rule in this country. That's mob rule. If majority ruled in this country, if there was a majority rule in this country and had never been a republic, Maxine Waters, you would not be in a position to sit where you are right now. You would not. There would never be any protections for minorities. There would never have been protections because there were times majorities didn't want it. It's a sad fact of life. It's a sad fact of American history. But because we are a constitutional republic and there are protections for the minorities, we are not a mob rule. People were protected from the mob rule. So please stop calling us. Okay, I missed him saying that, but okay, Sean. Yeah.
That we're trying very much to save and to not have disrupted, undermined in the way that.
So then reclaiming
in
my
the way
time,
that
the gentlelady
Republicans are going to-
denounces your previous statement then and do not accept that previous statement that you think you would take over these
I'm not a
private businesses?
socialist. I'm a capitalist.
When did you change that, Maxine? You already said, you said on the floor that you were a socialist, that you wanted to socialize a group of companies. You wanted to socialize them. You wanted the government to take over.
To save and to not have disrupted, undermined in the way that.
So then reclaiming
in
my
the way
time,
that
the gentlelady
Republicans are going to-
denounces your previous statement then and do not accept that previous statement that you think you would take over these
I'm not a
private businesses?
socialist. I'm a capitalist, and I commit to you that I am here to save Social Security, to save Medicare, to save seniors and veterans. And for some of you who have adopted certain kind of ways that you support what you now claim is socialism, I'm here to say to you, come on.
So this liberal will be all about socializing, will be all about basically taking over and the government running all of your companies. You disagree with that? You now denounce that statement.
I am not a socialist.
Okay.
All right.
So I appreciate the response. I think that to the extent that one has a concern as a member of this body.
I love Chip Roy. I really do. He's one of my favorite ones when they get up there, as far as his talking does. Now that they're in the majority, I want to see some actions out of these guys. But see, a lot of things, people, we've got to also remember, all right, they're not going to get everything that we want them to get done. Just because we have a Senate controlled by the Democrats and a Democratic president. So a lot of the actions that the House is going to do, they're going to put out some of the more radical stuff because they know it'll never even get brought to a floor vote over in the Senate. And they'll sit there and beat their chests and say, look what we tried to get through. Remember Paul Ryan, that son of a bitch? That bastard? Remember him? And he had a plan for health care when he went up against Obama. He had a plan for health care to replace Obamacare. And all these Republicans are backing him up, saying, yes, we've got a plan. We've seen the plan, yada, yada, yada. Trump gets elected. The House is in Republican hands. The Senate is in Republican hands. Trump is sitting there saying, send me that bill. Send me that bill, Paul Ryan. Get it passed through the House. It'll get passed in the Senate, and I'll sign it into law. Paul Ryan sat there, whoops, I don't have nothing to send you. That's going to be what's going to happen here with a lot of the stuff that the Republicans are going to do. They're going to sit there and bluster and everything else, knowing that whatever they do will never become law. Because they got the Senate under control of the Democrats. So, but the good thing, it's not all bad, the divided government. It's not all bad. Because they can kill a lot of the crap that the Senate passes. And remember, the House supposedly controls the purse strings. The House controls the purse strings, the governmental spending. Supposedly. So let's see how that works out.
Body, or as an American watching this, one has concerns when we hear statements like this, and that's not the only one. And statements by some of our colleagues on the other side of the aisle.
Okay. And I think I've got one more here for old Maxine. I got one more here for old Maxine. This bitch. I'm sorry. I can't stand Maxine. I really can't. Yeah, I think this is it.
And I found myself in the position that I think Ranking Member Waters did, but when this resolution referred to capitalism, it got referred to the Financial Services Committee. Well, we kind of think we're at the center of the debate on our economy and all the impacts of this, but this is the first representation in my time on financial services that we actually have both socialism and capitalism housed in our committee. So please come aboard. We'll have Marks and Adam Smith busts in the committee room now, and we can have those fulsome debates that many of us have generally. But as for me, I'd like to stick to the banking stuff, the boring stuff of housing policy, capital formation, regulation of digital assets, and all that stuff. We've got that agenda where, from time to time, Ranking Member Waters and I work on. But this is a statement that the new Republican majority wanted to make about the bigger debate about our economic system. And I'm honored to be a Republican member and doing the proper bidding of my conference and to be before you on this august Rules Committee to debate these things. And I do appreciate
Just
my,
more
my
bluster,
friend
just
from-
more
from
bluster.
Massachusetts in the spirit in which he said. So.
And I appreciate your honesty.
Well, the mistake that my friend from Pennsylvania made was asking if I wanted to follow up, and instead of just saying no,
I was doing you a favor.
yeah, by not asking. So with that, I'll step back so I don't get in further trouble with myself.
Mr.
Well, and
Chairman,
with that,
Mr. Chairman,
absolutely.
May I have the opportunity to?
A new Planet Fitness
Ah.
location is now open. Join now for just $1 down.
I hate
$10 a
this.
month,
Sorry.
no commitment.
I'll yield to the ranking member.
Oh, okay. I'd just like to take.
Now, I find this amazing that she's the ranking member. I really do. But listen to this little diatribe of hers.
This moment to say that I have worked closely with the chairman, and he just alluded to some things that I think are very important. He talked about capital formation. We're going to work in a bipartisan way on that. He talked about data privacy. We're going to work on that. He talked about digital assets. We're going to work on that. Now, we really don't have time to be taking our time dealing with something like this resolution. What is this all about? Is it about saying you want to cut Social Security? You want to cut Medicare? You don't care about the debt ceiling? Please give us an opportunity to work on these issues. Everybody alludes to bipartisanship.
You didn't want to work on the debt ceiling? Maxine Waters, you voted for increasing so much debt, putting our country in so much debt with your yes votes on sending money and stuff to the Ukraine, on the all these Democratic bills that spent trillions and trillions of dollars. To give money that we didn't have to other people. So I don't want to hear about you complaining about how Republicans want to control the debt ceiling. I don't want to hear it because it's nonsense. You don't care about the debt ceiling, or else you would not have voted for all them bills to give away all that money.
But I don't know if you're ready or not. I think we are. I yield back.
Well, Ranking Member Waters, I would think that this would be the most bipartisan bill. And the fact that this isn't passing on suspension just says everything about my friends across the aisle, that you can't condemn socialism. I mean, in your opening remarks, you were talking about Putin, Kim Jong-un, and Xi. You know what they all have in common, right?
Trump.
Trump?
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Let's back this up. This is where it gets good now.
I would think that this would be the most bipartisan bill. And the fact that this isn't passing on suspension just says everything about my friends across the aisle, that you can't condemn socialism. I mean, in your opening remarks, you were talking about Putin, Kim Jong-un, and Xi. You know what they all have in common, right?
Trump.
Trump?
Trump has all that. Trump is responsible for every evil that's gone on in this world. Because according to Maxine Waters, Trump is what these people all have in common. All these evil dictators in the world.
North Korea, China, and Russia.
He loves Kim Jong-un.
That's quite the intellectual leap. I would say communism. Would you like to denounce any communist leaders?
Well, I don't know what you're asking, but let me just.
Would you like to denounce any communist leaders is the question. And I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about. Why would I want to denounce communism leaders? Yes, Fury.
The leader of the Republican Party, Donald Trump, has made often.
Donald Trump is not the leader of the Republican Party. He's the former president. That's it. He is the former president. He is not the leader of the Republican Party. In fact, most of us who were Trump supporters, all right, well, let me say this for myself. I, as a Trump supporter when he was in office, who was not a Trump supporter during the nomination cycle, I was a Ted Cruz supporter initially. But while he was in office, yes, I did support Trump because he was doing a fairly good job. He was doing a fairly good job. Remember, he didn't start any wars. In fact, he actually actively said that he would not to do a military strike in retribution for a shoot down of one of our drones because of the chance of civilians getting hurt in the retributive strike, and that there'd be no real military gain for it. So let me back this up. Listen to this mess here by this woman.
I don't know what you're asking, but let me just. The leader of the Republican Party, Donald Trump, has made often glowing, described authoritarians like Kim Jong-un, who is condemned in the resolution. Regarding North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, Trump said, Kim wrote me beautiful letters, and they're great letters, and we fell in love. You sure you want to hear the rest of this?
Yeah, I can go through some atrocities, and you can say if you agree with them or not. You can choose to denounce them. If you'd like to go down that path, we can. What would you like to do?
Well, I would like to condemn this resolution and ask that we all give attention to the very short time that we have to do the people's work and pull it back and not even go any further with it. Why don't you just redraw it?
All right, so Mao Zedong is responsible for between 15 million and 55 million people starving to death with a great leap forward in the Cultural Revolution. Do you denounce that, yes or no?
But Trump loves him.
Yes or no?
That's
Do you-
your
do you
leader.
de- Do you denounce the genocide and the
That's your leader.
starvation
Trump
of
is your
communist
leader.
China?
He speaks for you. He says he loves him.
Trump did not. Okay. The way this woman is twisting the events.
You ought to
Okay,
deal
so
with that.
you're refusing to denounce the starvation of 15 to 55 million people in communist China. You're refusing to do that.
Sir, I'm a capitalist, okay? I don't support anything but serving the people of
All
this
right,
country. and
I know
giving
this is your
the
phrase,
people
but
of this
reclaiming my
country
time.
an
Reclaiming my
opportunity.
time.
It's your time. You got it.
Thank you. All right, would you like to, and that's a no, you refuse to denounce that. Stalin, tens of millions died in the Bolshevik Revolution. Millions died in gulags. Do you want to denounce that?
I'm sorry. I don't deal with yes or no questions.
Okay, well, you can, why don't you explain your support
No,
of
why don't you
Stalin?
explain it?
I'm asking you the question. Do you want to denounce that or not?
I told you in the beginning of this resolution that I discussed
All right,
what
so
I
again,
think we
you're
ought to be doing.
So again,
But
you're
when you
refusing
tell
to
me,
denounce Joseph
like
Stalin.
we're in the kindergarten class, yes or no, I don't do that.
Maxine Waters
Again,
is
for the
famous for
record,
her
you're
yes or no
refusing to denounce
questions.
Joseph Stalin. Let's go to Pol Pot, the killing fields of Cambodia. Do you want to denounce that? I'm giving you the opportunity.
How can this Himalayan alpine secret metabolize stubborn body fat? This
Not
alpha nice
again.
ritual changes everything we knew about weight loss. If you have excess weight,
Your Republican leader, Donald Trump, is friends with, supports Putin, Kim Jong-un. He loves him, and he led this country in being basically undermined by January 6th, including not only his leadership in telling his supporters to go after our own police officers here and use the American flag, many of them, to damage and to harm. And I haven't heard.
What a lying bitch. What a lying bitch this woman is. It's unbelievable that she could even, political commentary and exaggeration is one thing. Both sides do it. It's gamemanship. I understand that. You exaggerate the bad that the other side's done, and you exaggerate the good your side is going to do. All right. But to flat right lie like this woman is doing right now is, and doing it, and this is being recorded into the congressional record. And why not one of these, why the chairman is not interrupting her and calling her out on her lies amazes me. They're letting her get away with this.
One denouncement from anybody on the Republican side. Nobody has denounced that, what happened on January 6th. Are you afraid of Trump? Do you agree with Trump? Ask him the questions. Don't ask me.
Okay, so just to be clear, I asked you a question about Pol Pot, and you started talking about the former president. Again, do you denounce the killing fields of Cambodia or not? It's a simple question.
You know that you're simply playing politics. You understand what this resolution is all about. Don't ask me silly questions. I told you, I'm a capitalist. I'm not like Donald Trump. I'm not like Republicans who claim to support this democracy, but at the same time refuses to condemn those who attempted to destroy this democracy. You need to talk with your leader, Donald Trump, about what he's doing, why he loves Putin so much, why he loves Kim Jong-un so much. You ask him the questions.
So it's quite amazing. I've asked you to denounce Mao Zedong. I've asked you to denounce Joseph Stalin.
I asked you
and
to
Pol
denounce,
Pot, and you wouldn't denounce
I
any
asked
of
you
them.
to denounce Donald Trump.
Okay. You're
I
making
asked
quite,
you to
you're,
denounce
you're
Donald
making
Trump.
quite the intellectual leap. I'm talking
I
about
asked
genocide
you
and
to
mass
denounce
starvation.
Donald Trump.
Okay, he's not
I
a communist.
asked you
We're here.
to, I asked you to denounce Donald Trump.
This is quite the intellectual leap, ranking member.
This is what the leadership the Democrats put in on committees. This is what the leadership. This is from January 31st, 2023. Come on, a week ago. A week ago. Did any of y'all see this exchange on the news? How Trump, she equates Trump with the most evil men on the planet. Did anybody see any of this on the news? I sure didn't. I didn't see none of this on Twitter. I didn't see none of this on TikTok. I didn't see any of this on any of the YouTube channels. I didn't see it on ABC, NBC, or CBS. I didn't see it in the Washington Post, Washington Times, the New York Times. No, I didn't see it. All Trump, to her, everything is all about Trump. Trump is the most evil man in the world. He is more evil than Pol Pot. He is more evil than Kim Jong-un. He is more evil than Putin. She can't say one bad thing about any of those guys because Trump. Get this, and where is the Democratic Party going? This is one of the 86. Now remember, Maxine Waters is also infamous for telling people to go and attack Republicans. All right? When Trump was president. Remember that. She's one that stood there and say, here we go. Come on, my video's disappeared. Where'd my video go? Don't tell me I closed that tab. Was this it? Here we go. Come on, open up, open up. Thank you. All right. Let's listen to Maxine Waters. Let's listen to what Maxine Waters had to say just a short time ago. Just a short time ago. I've never heard a Republican anywhere say anything like this before.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere. And Mr. President, we will see you every day, every hour of the day, everywhere that we are, to let you know you cannot get away with this. Thank you so very much.
This is what the Democrats allow happening out there. Oh, no, we're not doing nothing wrong. It's all you. Trump said go peacefully protest. Peacefully. Then he told people to go home. But somehow he incited the violence. What's he do? Got a little magic machine sitting out there broadcasting brain waves, talking to people through their brain, not through their ears, taking control of them mentally. Did he do that? The Icelandic fury, the Icelandic volcanoes. Yeah, I'll give you a little story about that later on. Those Icelandic volcanoes. But you heard Maxine Waters. Everything is about Trump. Everything is about Trump. There is nothing else out there besides Trump. Trump is the most evil person in the world. And we have the right to confront him and anybody associated with him. But how dare you? We have the right to. Remember, she was arrested for taking over the Senate building. She incited. She was part of an insurrection and was, under their own definition, she committed insurrection, a takeover of the Senate. And she was arrested for it. These are the 86 people. These are the prime examples of the 86 people, the more famous ones. Oh, God. that speech by AOC where she sounded like a Southern preacher. Yeah, you're right. Problem with their little speech there about Ilhan being removed from the foreign relations is that Ilhan was the only white or the only non-white, non-male removed from a committee, not all committees, but a committee. Remember that. Nancy Pelosi removed people from all committees. No, you cannot have a committee seat. You can't sit on any committee whatsoever. All that happened to shifts for brains, Fang Fang Swallows, and Ilhan is they were told no. Two of you can't sit on the Intelligence Committee because one is a known liar and leaker of information. The other one had a lengthy affair with a known Chinese spy. And the third, Miss Ilhan, is a known anti-Semitic and made multiple anti-Semitic comments in the past. So no, you can't sit on this committee because you are not worthy of sitting on that committee for your own problems. Oh yeah. So anyway, now see, there's actually more to this than just these 86 people. All right. Let me get back here. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, Maxine Waters, Bonnie Botson Coleman of New Jersey, and Nikema Williams of Georgia. These are the 86 who voted nay on that resolution. That's the 86. I'm sad to say there's a couple from Ohio there. North Carolina, Vermont, California is no surprise. New York's no surprise. Excuse me. Missouri, Texas, where they're from, they're, Austin and Houston, that's no real surprise. No. Southern Florida, again, that's no surprise. They're from the very liberal portions of the country. All right. But look at these here, all Democrats. Lisa Blunt Rochester from Delaware. Chantel M. Brown from Ohio. David Salone from Rhode Island. The man who can't figure out what the hell a gun is, but hates all guns. Can't tell you what makes that gun evil. He's got no common sense when it comes to guns. He's got no knowledge about what comes to guns, but when it comes to guns, he wants them all banned. Nobody has a gun except for the police, but the police need to be defunded because they're evil. Jasmine Crockett of Texas, Veronica Escobar of Texas, Anna G. Eshoo from California, Val T. Hoyle of Oregon, Sheila Jackson Lee of Texas. What a piece of work she is. Sarah Jacobs of California, Teresa Lugar Ferendez of New Mexico, Doris O. Masui of California, Deborah K. Ross of North Carolina, Mary Gay Scallion of Pennsylvania, and Melanie A. Stansberry of New Mexico. All right. Let's see. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 people. 14 more. So that'd make it an even 100. Because these 14 Democrats all voted present. They didn't vote for the bill. They didn't vote against the bill. They just voted present. Now, voting present, for the most part, is the coward's way out. Yeah, I'm here, but I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to let you guys make this decision. Because no matter which way I vote, I'm going to get in trouble. No matter if I take a vote, if I take a position on this, I could get in trouble. It could cost me my job, or it could cost me a bunch of heartache back home, or whatever. There are a few occasions when voting present is a tactic used by the political parties because by voting present, that we're here, you can count us as to keep making certain that we have a quorum, but we're still not voting either way. Because then that way, the majority, usually this is a trick done by the majority to allow a bill proposed by the minority to pass, and then they can hold that up as a example of extremism, or to make news with it when it gets shot down in the Senate, and allows all the liberals and the news media to say how evil that minority party is. It's been done a few times by the Democrats. I could not find any examples of the Republicans using it, but that doesn't mean it hasn't been done by the Republicans. All right. But to me, it's for the most part, it's usually a coward's vote. They're just afraid to get in trouble one way or another. Now, I can't imagine Sheila Jackson Lee being afraid of getting in trouble. I mean, that woman's been in office almost as long as Maxine Waters has been. Then these 6 people, Sean Casten of Illinois, Steve Cohen of Tennessee, Jim Costa of California, they're all Democrats. Wesley Hunt of Texas, Greg Pence of Indiana, and W. Gregory Stubbe of Florida, all Republicans who did not vote. Now, I researched this as best as I could since in the past couple of days. I've been putting this together for a couple of days now. I could not find out why any of them didn't vote. Were they sick? Were they doing something at home? Whatever. All right. Personally, I would love to see a House rule, and a Senate rule for that matter, that unless you are sick, unless you are caring for somebody who is sick in your family, wife, mother, something like child, there's an emergency, natural disaster in your area that you need to be there to assist. If you miss votes, you should be penalized, because this is your job. There should have to be an explanation as to why you didn't vote on a bill. Because you are there to represent the people that elected you to office. And when you fail to show up for a vote, you are failing to do your job. Just as I believe these people that all vote present instead of voting yay or nay should have to explain why. There should be an official explanation as why they voted present. They should not be able to get away with this. Because they are, and I don't care, Republican or Democrat, they should be required, they should have to sit there and tell us why they didn't vote, yay or nay. Why they did not represent the people that they were elected to go to Congress to represent. Once again, I've said this before and I'll say it again. One of the problems that we have with elected officials at all levels of government, they get into office and they start thinking that they know better than everybody else. That's why they got put there. They got put there because the hand of God came down and touched them and given them infinite wisdom. Therefore, they have infinite power and they know better than anybody else. And that's why they get to sit in office and vote. They don't have to listen to the peons who voted for them. Except when they go out there and tell their lies to get elected every couple of years, every 2 years, every 4 years, every 6 years. I have a problem with Democrats. I have a problem with a lot of Republicans, but I have a lot of problem with the Democrats. Democrats like Sheila Jackson Lee, David Stallone, Maxine Waters, Raskin, Presley, Nadler, AOC, Ilhan, Japal. Hank Johnson just doesn't have the mental acuity to be sitting in office. I don't understand how in the hell he got reelected after that Guam flip capsizing questions that he asked. I just don't see how he did it. But all these people, these 86 Democrats who voted nay on a bill, on a House resolution to condemn socialism, every one of those 86 should be 86th, in my opinion. They really should be. So, and that's what I managed to get it done in just under 2 hours. I'm surprised. I didn't know if I was going to go a long time on this or not. I figured going through 86 names and stuff I pulled up, it'd take me more than 2 hours to go through it. But anyway, people, this is a unique Monday stream for me because I'm home and didn't have anything better to do, and I've been working on this. This is actually going to be my Tuesday stream, my Tuesday catch-up stream. But I decided to do it today. And my Tuesday catch-up stream tomorrow will be something else. Catching up on some other stuff that's happened. But I want to thank everybody for coming out and listening to me rant here. I appreciate it. I think that the people who elected them to office, Fury, should be questioning them as to why they wouldn't vote against socialism. There should be some hard-asked questions being asked of these people. There really should be. Wondering why they could not take a stand against socialism. You would think that'd be an easy vote. Yes, I don't like socialism. Yes, socialism is evil. Yes, socialism is not a good thing. We will not become a socialist nation. Do we have some socialist programs in this country? Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. Okay, yeah, we do have some. Social Security, they're saying it's going to go bankrupt here in a few years, which is scary for me because I've been forced into early retirement about 5 years earlier than I expected to go. And so it's going to be chewing up my savings and such a lot faster than I expected it to. I won't be relying on Social Security a little bit more than what I had planned to because of the enforced retirement. But if the Social Security programs were not paying for so much besides what it was initially designed to pay for, Social Security was not designed, is paying for so much more than what it was initially designed to pay for. There's so many more programs that fall under Social Security that never should. It never should have been. They never should have been there. But people like Maxine Waters. It's for the children. It saved one life. And Social Security got eaten up even faster than what it was supposed to. Anyway, that is another topic. No, you're right. There are some voters who want socialism. All right, they've fallen for the trap. And they're mostly the younger voters coming straight out of high school and college who've been given the spiel. Socialism only hasn't worked because it hasn't been the right people in charge yet. That's what's going on with that. Okay? That's been what's going on with that. They don't seem to understand socialism will never work because no matter who you put in, when people get into those positions of power, they're not going to relinquish the power. And in order to under socialist programs, in order to make everybody equitable, you got to take from those that have and give to others. You know, there've been the experiments in school. We've all read the stories. You know, there's the one infamous story, whether it's actually true, whether or not it actually happened or not, I have no idea. But it's a famous classroom story. At the beginning of the year, the teacher announced that everybody's grades will be the same. What she's going to do is she's going to take the grades from the top of the class, take all the grades, combine them into one, average them out, and that's the grade everybody got. So those that got straight A's, well, they ended up with C's. Those with F's ended up with C's. Well, those who got the straight A's got and busted their butts learning and studying. The next test came around, decided that they weren't going to study as hard. Why should they study so hard, put in all that effort, and not get their rewards for it? Not get the grade they earned, but get what the teacher decided that they deserved, so that those who didn't get as good of a grade could be lifted up, could be equitable. Remember, not equality, equitable. Everybody's the same. Everybody's the same. Well, instead of everybody getting C's, everybody got D's. Then the third time test coming around, nobody studied because it's like, what the hell? Why should I put any effort? I studied my ass off and I ended up with a D. And everybody got F's. Because nobody did the work. That is socialism. That is socialism. Why are you going to work hard if you're not going to... Damn, I hate this gabapentin. I hate my lack of memory. I'm going to see if I can find it here. Maybe somebody can help me out here. One of the initial founding settlements from England to our country, when they landed, they were a socialist thing, a commune type. You know, everybody works together, everybody helps plant the fields, everybody gets equal amount of foods back. And they damn near starved to death. Because people who weren't working still got food. But there wasn't enough food produced. Jamestown, thank you, Fury. I thought that was Jamestown, but I wasn't 100% certain. That's why and this, well, It took them about a year or 2 years, and they finally said, no more. We're no longer having communal fields. You have your own field. You produce what you produce. You eat what you produce. You don't produce anything, you don't eat anything. That was the end of that should have been the end of the socialism in this country. That example should be held up every year in every class of what socialism is like. You know people as well as I do. You've known people as well as I have known people who are freaking lazy. They do the absolute minimum. You've worked with them. You've worked with them in the past, you work with them now, and you will work with them in the future. People who are too lazy, they do the absolute minimum they have to do to get their paycheck. And they don't care that the work that they don't do gets dumped off on someone else. Because they're going to do the absolute minimum so they can get their paycheck so they don't get fired. That's it. We all know worked with these people. Hell, I work with them now. I work with basically 3 of the laziest people you'd ever want to look at when it comes to doing my job, the job that we all have to do. I spent from home. I spent 2 hours yesterday correcting financial records that these people screwed up because they're too lazy to do what they were supposed to do to start off with. Yep, where the phrase good enough for government work comes from. Problem is with that, Fury, right, is in the job I had when I worked for the government, i.e. when I was in the Air Force, working on F-15s, the greatest fighter ever designed and built, still flying today. It's not being towed as a target like the F-16 is to be shot down by F-15s. Anyway, and just as a little aside, the F-15 has shot down satellites. This nonsense that the media tried to push out, that this balloon was too high in the air to be shot down, is absolute nonsense. The F-15 has shot down satellites. If it can shoot down a damn satellite, it can shoot down that damn balloon. Don't give me this crap. We've got aircraft that could have shot that balloon down long before that F-22 did the other day. So anyway. When I was in the Air Force working on the F-15, that good enough for government work meant it was good enough to keep that pilot alive. That was the bare minimum. Bare minimum job level is that you did that job knowing so that that aircraft and that pilot both came back in one piece. That was good enough for government work. That aircraft got up in the air, could perform its mission, and return back to home base with the pilot and the aircraft in one piece, ready to fly again. That was my definition of good enough for government work. Did I know some people? Of course I did. Because the military is no different than any other cross-section of the country. The military is one of the greatest cross-sections of the country. Because you've got people from all walks of life. I was a farm boy from Ohio. One of my best friends was an Orthodox Jew. Another very good friend of mine, was in the Air Force on a green card. Another friend of mine was from Schenectady, New York. Worked for Kodak. There's a wonderful cross section: male and female, white, black, Hispanic, Puerto Rican, Mexican, all right, Jewish. We even had, Muslim. One of the other organizations had a Sikh. We worked well together. We were a wonderful cross section of the American population. Varied beliefs, yada, yada, varied backgrounds. Got to know people from all across the country, all different kinds of backgrounds. And yes, we had the lazy people, the shirkers. The people that we were careful what jobs we assigned them to do. And when we had to go out, once we became the leaders, once we became the people who had to go out and inspect the work, we inspected their work even more closely than we inspected other people's work. Because we couldn't trust them to do everything exactly according to Hoyle. Hey, Pat. So, yes, the American cross section and close enough for government work. I don't know, that's completely off the thing here, off the thing, but the military is a symbol of white supremacy and is raised. Yeah. I don't know if you guys can hear those sirens going off in my background or not, but anyway, ladies and gents, I want to thank y'all for coming out and listening to this. We got 86 Congress critters there that refuse to say socialism's bad. 86 of them. We've got a ranking member of the Democratic Party that absolutely one question, name by name, refused to denounce some of the most evil men alive in the country, in the world. Not in our country, but in the world. Refused to denounce them. Her response, will you denounce Trump? Well, I won't denounce anybody until you denounce Trump. Trump takes up so much space in these people's brains today. It's unfreaking believable. But they would not spend the energy to denounce socialism. They should be questioned as to why. Hard questions, and nobody accepting these flippant answers. Well, this is just this whole resolution was just a gamemanship ploy. It was just this. It was just that. No. Why did you not say, yes, we denounce socialism? Say it. Or do you believe in socialism? Do you want us to have socialism? Yeah, you're right. That's their answer for everything. Trump, 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 Trump. Trump lives in their brains. Trump is one of my honest estimations. Trump is one of our better presidents as far as the country goes, how he led the country. As a person, other than him being a billionaire, I didn't, as an individual, he's a bit scummy. I mean, too many wives, too many girlfriends, but when you got that much money, you're going to attract more women. when you're a man, you know. And I was amazed, you know, we can go back through the past 20 years, and all the people had their pictures taken with Trump that loved him before he became president. Yeah, good point, Sean. Oh yeah, they're passing that lie off that Trump allowed 3 balloons to cross into U.S. airspace, when even John Bolton, a man who hates Trump, says no, that never happened. That's a lie. People who actually hate Trump are saying, no, that never happened. You're lying. But the media, CNN, is still out there saying it did, that it happened 3 times. I saw a tweet on it this morning. It was a scorecard. Biden 1, China 0. Trump 0, China 3. So yeah, that's, and I tell you, as soon as I'd had an A-10, they knew that before that balloon entered U.S. airspace, they knew it was coming. I'd had an A-10 sitting up there, A-10s flying 24/7, and as soon as that son of a bitch balloon got 3 miles into U.S. airspace, it had been shot down. Boom. 20 mils burst, 20 mils through that balloon. It brought it down to the ground. Pat, I'm going to remind everybody, back when back when Reagan was president, Reagan made a deal with Tip O'Neill. You beef up our borders, especially our southern borders. You stop illegal immigration. You make me that promise that we will beef up security on those borders. We will stop illegal immigration, and I will go ahead and grant amnesty to the 1 million or 2 million illegals who are in our country right now. Tip O'Neill and the Democrats agreed to that they would secure our borders and stop illegal immigration under Reagan. I was in the Air Force when that happened. I was stationed in Phoenix when that happened. Luke Air Force Base. I remember this. I remember the discussions going on because Phoenix had a large number of illegals living in South Phoenix. We stayed out of South Phoenix, portions of that, because of the number of illegals living down there. And Tip O'Neill and the Democrats reneged on their promise. That is the one time Reagan did not live up to his trust but verify motto. He should never have trusted the Democrat parties to live up to their promise, because they didn't do it. So yeah, there's a whole lot that Democrats do, breaking their promises. Yeah, we'll do this if you do that. Compromise for them only goes one way. Why won't you compromise with us on gun control? Because you don't compromise. It's either your way or no way. Every time we try to compromise with you, it's taking away something from us. We get nothing in return. It's a death by 1,000 cuts. You find new ways to destroy our rights and our freedoms while bringing in more and more people into this country who don't have the education, don't have the skills, don't have what it takes to survive on their own in this country. They live off the taxpayers' teeth the whole time they're here. Yeah, maybe their children or their grandchildren, after they've been through American schools, become contributing members. Maybe. But, and I don't care where you're from. If you're here in this country, if you've overstayed your visas, if you've entered the country illegally, you crossed the border where you weren't supposed to cross, you did not fill out the proper paperwork, you were supposed to stop at this embassy here to do the paperwork to ask for refugee status. You didn't do any of that stuff. You're here illegally. You're back across that border. You're back across the border from whence you came, or the border closest to your home country. I don't care if you're from Poland. I don't care if you're from England, Ireland, South America, Africa, the Middle East, the Far East. Wherever you're from, you're deported back. You don't belong in this country. And yes, while it is expensive to deport people, it's less expensive than having them living here on sucking off the government teat. I am so disappointed in our Republican Party. I am. They're the Democrats of 40 years ago. Most of these guys 40 years ago would never have been elected by a Republican. Most of the Democrats today would not have been elected by the Democratic Party 40 years ago. Back in the 1980s. Let's see. 40 years ago, I just left Germany, or just left for Germany. I'd be in my second month in Germany 40 years ago today. Wow, that's a long time ago. I can remember that riding the Blue Swan from Rhein-Main to Bitburg Air Force Base. Meeting a young lady on the bus, having discussions with her, and she was getting off at another base. Never saw her again. But I remember the discussions we had even back then, 40 years ago. And we said then, some of us, that you can't trust the Democrats because they were lying. Pat, I hope that 40 years from now, when you look back, you're not looking back at the same thing I look back on now. I really do. In 1983, yeah, what a wonderful year. 83, 80, I was in Germany for 3 years. So, yep. Anyway, people, it's been almost 2.5 hours, and I got some other things I want to do. Those 86 people, 86 of them, look them up. I hope to hell that if any of them are your representative, you're calling their offices and want to know why they voted no on this resolution. So I want everybody to try to have a good day. Okay, you're going to stream here in 15 minutes, Pat? All right. Then good time is now for me to shut down, give you a chance to take your breaks and get things ready for your stream. But everybody have a good one. And Thanks for coming out. Poodles, tits, people, yay! And we'll have a good one. Enjoy. And please be with the ones you love and love the ones that you're with. We'll talk to you all tomorrow.